How is it that with all the tips and tricks, tools and technology, calendars and checklists, that we always seem to be behind? How is it that we're working longer hours, faster than ever before, but we never seem to catch up? How is it that we know more about time management today than we have ever before, but stress levels are at an all-time high? Well, this, my friends, is because everything we know about time management is wrong. Even though time management seems logical with all these tips and tricks, tools and technology, calendars and checklists, all logical, but today time management is not just logical, but emotional as well. Your feelings of guilt, fear, stress, and anxiety dictate how you spend your time. But you cannot manage time. Time will continue whether we like it or not. The only thing that we can do is self-manage. Now, for procrastinators like myself, this is a lot easier said than done, as we normally tend to leave things till the last minute. But what if I told you we were only partially to blame? What if I told you that this was built in our evolutionary makeup? Take the first human life, for example. They were based on short-term survival. They couldn't think about next month because they didn't know whether they were going to eat the next day. They couldn't think about next week because they didn't know whether they were going to survive the cold nights. And to some extent, this is still practiced by us today. I've been a procrastinator since I can never remember. At school, I used to hate studying. I loved learning, but I hated studying. And thanks to my parents who kept pushing me and kept on top of me, I was able to go off to university. But that's all in a different ballgame there, because I had to depend solely on myself. I had this new freedom, but this freedom came with a large amount of responsibility. And like many others that I know, I used to find myself in the library at 3 o'clock in the morning before handing in an essay the next day. And every single time I'd promise myself, next time I'll start earlier. Next time I'll finish it with time to spare. Of course, that never materialized. I was in the library constantly at 3 a.m. in the morning the day before. But it worked, and that's the important thing. And for all you non-procrastinators out there who don't know how we function, I'll tell you. So I watched a talk on procrastination a couple of months ago by a man called Tim Urban, who, like myself, is a chronic procrastinator. Well, Tim had this hypothesis that what if procrastinators and non-procrastinators just had a different brain structure? What if there was a difference between both our brains that can tell us why some procrastinate and some don't? Well, Tim went to an MRI lab and he managed to scan his brain and get a scanned brain copy of a proven non-procrastinator. Now, some of you may not be able to see the difference because it's quite tricky for the untrained eye, but I'll walk you through it. So what you see there behind me is the brain of a non-procrastinator. This is my brain. You see, we both have a rational decision maker, and all the rational decision maker wants to do is sit down and get on with everything that we need to get onto and just do things that make sense. But this soul-destroying creature, this instant gratification monkey, doesn't like that idea. And he has a new plan for all of us. You see, the instant gratification monkey, all he wants to do is take control of the wheel. But you don't want him to take control of the wheel because he lives in the present. He has no memory of the past, no knowledge on the future, and all he wants to do are fun and easy things. Well, for an animal, this works. Perhaps a dog, if all you did every day were fun and easy things, you'd live a successful life. But in an advanced civilization like ours today, the monkey can get us into a lot of trouble. So I was informed about a month and a half ago that I'd be forming part of this year's GibTalks. And the first thing I asked was, how much time do I have to prepare? Of course, he said, well, about 6 weeks or so. So I was like, plenty of time. But of course, 6 weeks turns into a month. A month turns into 3 weeks, 2 weeks, and you know how it goes. So I woke up last Sunday, and I realized I still hadn't put pen to paper. And I thought, well, let's get started. So after cleaning my room, redecorating it, having not 1 but 2 showers and 5 cups of tea, I decided right now was the time to sit down and start. So I opened my laptop and I thought, right, rather than just reading about procrastination, let's watch some videos and let's get to grips with the substance. So I type in YouTube, and then there's this little video in the corner of my screen which is catching my eye, and I can hear a little voice in my head saying, click on it, click on it, click on it, click on it. So I decide to ignore it, and I try to pursue, and I try to, deal with the task at hand. But then this voice gets louder, and I basically hear it say, well, sorry, Aidan, we are going to watch that video. I want to know the 5 most mysterious sea creatures planet Earth. Then after that, what we're going to do is we're going to watch interviews of all the Game of Thrones characters. Then after that, we'll spend a couple of hours learning gibberish. And by the end of the day, by the end of this day, you'll finally know the name of the puppy that comes out in the Andrex adverts. With much love, the monkey. So this continued throughout the week, and I found myself from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and nothing. Until Thursday morning came. And I woke up and I realized I've got GibTalks in 2 days and have nothing. But we all have this creature inside us all. And we're quite thankful to have this creature, actually. Because although dormant most of the time, when we're quite stressed or public embarrassment, like today, this creature wakes up. And this creature woke up from his slumber on Thursday. My friends, I present to you the panic monster. You see, whilst the panic monster is sleeping, the monkey can do whatever he wants. And that's a reality. But when the panic monster wakes up, something like this happens. So we're in a position now where the monkey just jolts back into his tree, and now he lets the rational decision maker continue with whatever he needs to do. Now, over the last couple of years, basically, procrastination has been given or painted in a negative manner. But the reality is, a non-procrastinator doesn't exist. That's right, all of you here are all procrastinators. Whether you're procrastinating on work, or studying, or training, or just meeting up with family and friends, all of us do it, and that's the reality. But procrastination can be a good thing. It doesn't always have to be negative. The only thing is we need to be responsible on how we deal with it. For example, take this fella, Leonardo Da Vinci, one of the world's most famous artists, painter and inventor. Leonardo da Vinci, it is said, took approximately 16 years to paint La Mona Lisa, one of the world's most finest art pieces today. Or how about this individual, Martin Luther King Jr. Before writing his speech on the March on Washington, he was up past 3 a.m. writing it, scribbling. Just before going on stage and presenting it, he was still scribbling. And then about 11 minutes into it, he put down his script and uttered 4 words which changed the course of history. I have a dream. Now, by leaving this until the last minute, Martin Luther King Jr. opened himself to the widest of ideas. And because his speech wasn't set in stone, this allowed for maximum improvisation. So what we're saying is, just procrastinate, just do it responsibly. But enough is enough to non-action procrastination. Today, you need to address procrastination. You need to go out and deal with the things that you've been postponing. Today, all of you need to go out and deal with the things that you've been delaying. Today it's, bueno, ya son las 4, sí, ¿no? Con que en verdad es quite tarde, con que mañana lo hacemos. Thank you.